everything we can, and this is probably one of the most important areas of our activity, to limit the damage, to reduce the suffering of the people, and to reduce the impacts, the dramatic, devastating impact in the global economy, because it came on top.
Oh no, Gutierrez is addressing the Davos crowd. And you know, the Davos crowd is an evil conspiracy, right? Well, some people think so. It's funny that when global institutions try to do good things, even if they fail, certain people in the world will think that it's all a conspiracy to wreck everything. And yet they have faith in the system in which they live and participate every day. They go about their business and they have cliques and tribes in their own countries where they're true believers in that particular ideology or worldview, and everybody else is religious or against reality. You know, they've taken the wrong color pill and all that kind of stuff. And nobody really wants to deal with the fact that these issues are complex, that it's hard to build culture and to transcend systems or to find and implement new paradigms, new ways of doing things. Obviously, we wonder, you know, if we're going to transition to some other source of energy other than fossil fuels, what is that source of energy going to be and how are we going to build it? If I have a smartphone, its components are made with materials sourced around the world and built across the globe by various different companies. So, do we need the smartphone? If so, we need some form of globalization to make them, because you just can't make them by yourself somewhere like you could make a shovel or an axe. We could go back and we could all make stone axes. We could figure that out. How to dig a hole in the dirt, how to cut down a tree. But these other things are a lot more complicated. I want to talk a little bit about the unified theory of psychology at some point, because people tend to think that, you know, the other side, in kind of a Jonathan Haidt kind of perspective, the other side is disgusting and grotesque and all wrong. And yet these disgusting, grotesque, all wrong people are getting on with life. They're doing things. They're living, working, and, you know, breathing. Meat's disgusting. Eating crickets is disgusting. You know what? I mean, you know, different people, different strokes. But it's complicated. The way the human mind works is embedded in society and culture, and genetics, and epigenetics, and diets, and exercise regimes, and everything. It's all interconnected. None of it's happening in isolation. Your metabolism, breathing air, drinking water, all of these things are there for a reason. You can look at the cellular level, you can look at broad biological things, you can look at anthropology, all different kinds of domains of science and whatnot, physics, and, you know, why do we have gravity? Why does the sun go around the, why does the earth, sorry, go around the sun? And all of these questions can be answered to certain degrees if you want to know the answers. But it's more fun feuding with the other side, because that enmity turns us on, right? Fighting for our people, saving the ranch. Got to do what you got to do. Anyway, we all have faith in our system, in our culture, in our art, in our language, in our belief systems. You know, I mean, come on. The history of religion going back to cuneiform writing or just Babylonian times or even ancient Stone Age periods, you know, these big, huge monuments people built back in the day. Before civilization, before we were storing grain under castles and so on. How it's evolved and developed and changed over time, how it's all derivative of something, at least culturally speaking, right? This Sumerian language came from this Assyrian. I'm really not a linguist, so I'm just talking. But then came Hebrew, and then came Greek, and some people could read it and write it, some scribes, and most people couldn't. And it was useful. It had utility. You could keep records, make contracts. Now we're doing that kind of thing on the blockchain. So we require the cloud, which means we require data centers and hard drives and so on, until we find new materials and new ways to store information that may or may not happen. So then Gutierrez goes on and talks about things, what you got to do with the economy and this and that and the other thing. But we have to ask ourselves, what parts of the way we do things in our world today can we keep and still have a sustainable future? And what parts do we need to get rid of or change? If you're just a pure conservative, you have all the answers. It's all genetic, or it's all this or that, or if everybody was just this religion or that religion or whatever. But without the faith in absolute truths like that, normal people who are interested in how things work discover things over time through experimentation, through using new tools, through cogitation, mathematics, abstract thought, on and on and on. And all of us are the beneficiaries of this to a certain degree, whether we like to acknowledge it or not. And some of us just want us to go back to some ideal period in the past that never existed and everything's sorted out and proper. It's kosher. It's halal. It's before we started eating meat, before the fall of Adam and Eve or whatever. So anyhow, yeah, these things are complex and have to be dealt with and understood. So I beg you and yours and the people in your networks that you not grow the balls to do what's best for you and yours, but to grow the curiosity that's necessary for us as people to achieve success in whatever form or at whatever scale you want to talk about. Maybe you just want a successful little business and live in peace in Cincinnati, Ohio, and win the Super Bowl or something. Or maybe you have bigger ambitions, greater ambitions. But certain things about our system have to change, and so we're going to need an imagination, and that's going to be fueled by curiosity and hard work to find out what needs to be tweaked and re-engineered a bit. This happens with products all the time, and we love that. What's the difference between this electric car and that electric car? All exciting, or, this engine and that engine, this camera and that camera, whatever. But we can't question our ideologies, our economic beliefs, and so on and so forth. No, we cannot do that. So that this having been said, I'm going to do a little inspirational piece, kind of tongue-in-cheek about what we really worship, where our faith really lies. Okay, so the next bit coming soon, Bouliam Tea, out.